Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you about a topic which I like to talk about, but most of the people don't like to hear. I'm going to talk about the forthcoming market crash. Do I know whether the market is going to crash? Yes. Do I know when it is going to crash? No. Could it be 23, 24, 25, 2026? I have no clue. But the market does crash once in a while, and none of us know when it is going to crash, and none of us know why it is going to crash. So ultimately, do understand that the India Shining campaign was great, but Vajpayee lost. Similarly, I don't think any of our portfolios are ready for a BJP not coming back to power, right? The whole market is assuming that BJP will get 300 plus seats in the next 2024 elections. Now, will Karnataka be a good indicator of what is going to happen? Answer is no. BJP may win Karnataka, lose Karnataka. I'm not getting into the politics of it. But we have no, I don't think that's a great indicator of what is going to happen in 2024. Though, of course, the opposition will say Modi should resign because Modi has lost. I'm not getting into that portion also. But for whatever reasons, if Modi does not come back to power or gets 210 seats when the market is expecting him to get 310 seats, the market could behave very differently. Most importantly, none of us know why the market is going to crash or what could be the reasons which could trigger a fall. But we all know that the market will crash. How much will it crash? No idea. Once in a while it falls 30%, regularly it falls 10%, and almost on a daily basis it could fall 1 or 2% up and down, right? These kind of things. So if 60,000 is the index that you are looking at, 600 point fall is a 1% fall. 600 point fall is not going to be very uncommon. It is going, you're going to see it with increasing frequency leading up to the election results, right? So then will be election announced, then there will be a pre-poll alliances, then there will be poll reports coming to you saying what's happening. So anything could cause the trigger and there could be a fall. Could it be 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%? I don't know. I mean, there are people for whom it's a business saying that they know, but I have no clue. I don't know anybody who knows anybody who knows anybody. So quoting Templeton. So we do not know when the market will fall. We do not know how long the market will remain there. That is another thing. Suppose the index falls from 60,000 to 50,000. And that's about a 15%, 16% kind of a fall. How long will it remain at? Come back from 50,000, let's say the market falls from 60,000 to 50,000. Will the market come back from 50 to 60 in a jiffy? Will it come over 1 month? Will it come over 3 months? I have no clue, right? Nobody knows how long the market will continue to remain there. If it remains there for a month, what happens? If it remains there for a year, what happens? Will people lose patience? Will the SIPs stop? I have no idea. I have just not enough proof to know what will happen if the market, if the SIP returns are negative for 1 year and 2 years. Will the number of SIPs stop? Don't ask me. I don't have an idea. The mutual fund industry thinks that the SIP will never stop, right? So you can't predict whether the market will crash, you can't predict the duration, you can't predict when it will, right? So none of this you can predict. Also, sometimes you get a lot of contrary views, right? So suppose, for example, I tell you the US is going to get into a recession. How do you react to it? Do you say, oh my God, IT companies will take a hit? Or you say, oh my God, if the US hits a recession, the biggies like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley and all would like to, not Morgan Stanley, it's no longer there, right? So Goldman Sachs, will they, what will they do, right? So will they just outsource everything to India? Will they increase the work for the locals or will they increase the work for the offshoring? So maybe Indian IT companies will benefit because of that. So again, you've got contrary data. You're saying, okay, US will go into a recession, but IT companies will do well. Somebody could say, oh, US is going to do badly, so Indian companies could do badly. US is going into a recession, they'll be buying more drugs, so maybe Indian pharma companies will benefit. So will the dollar weaken? Will the dollar become, or will the dollar strengthen? If the dollar weakens, it will become 81. If the dollar strengthens, it will become 85. Again, very difficult to say what happens if China dumps the dollar, if Japan dumps the dollar and buys something else, right? So again, forex predictions are difficult to say. Therefore, you do not know whether there will be foreign inflows. For example, whatever happens in the world, if there are FII inflows into India, Indian market will go up. FII's outflow is more difficult now as they have already taken out a lot of money, but will it come back? Will we start getting more allocation from the Western world, from the FII, from Japan? Again, difficult to predict. So be ready for all this. So we do not know when it will happen, whether it will happen, but we need to be ready for that, right? Let us come to some of the positive things. Those who stay the whole course are definitely rewarded. So if you go through good times and go through bad times, you are definitely going to be rewarded. So I was going through my mother's portfolio and I found she's got about almost 18%, 17 point some percentage in HDFC top 100. She must have entered 16, 17 years back, 18 years back, whatever. So just nothing, did nothing, just put a one-time investment, and that has grown so well, right? So sitting through bad times, sitting through good times, all that is needed, and therefore you get a good return. You don't get a good return just because you bought during bad times but did not remember to sell it during good times. So something you do, something you don't, somewhere you sit around. When I invested my mother's amount, it was a mother's amount of money. It was a very small amount, therefore I could afford to sit through. I didn't even see the statement yesterday when I was updating. I just saw it. So you will go through bad times, but remember, you have to sit through it. You cannot take your money out because the market is bad. That will hurt. Stock market return predictions are impossible to do, because in my equity portfolio I can tell you that I have got extremely one-sided returns in some companies. I've got very bad returns in some companies which I've held for 2, 3, 4 years. I have got returns very lumpy, right? So 2, 3 years some sensational return, and then 6, 7 years of bad returns. All these things will happen. You will get concentrated return, and the concentration should be could be regarding to time, could be regarding to business, could be regarding to anything. So you will get those returns. So what does it help? If you understand equity, somebody like me who's been there for 40 years, I do not diversify. To me, it doesn't matter that I get 19% in equity and therefore I should put some money in debt where I'm getting 7%. I don't diversify, but that may not work for you. Even when I say I don't diversify, I have some SGB, I have some real estate, I have some bonds, I have PPF. Right, so my PPF contribution has always been happening throughout my life. So it's grown. Definitely there is some money in PPF. So should I say I don't have debt investment? True and false, because I have some my debt investments and I have my PPF anyway. I have my wife's PPF, I have my daughter's PPF. So some money is already there in debt, right? So some of these things you will have to do. But if you are afraid of looking at your total portfolio and finding that 30% has been wiped out, then maybe you should have a diversified portfolio, but that is a choice that you have to make. I cannot make that choice for you. You also have to be ready for some events which keep happening. For example, the happy to go to war country US will go to war somewhere, right? So somewhere they have to sell their arms. So they will sell it in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq. They tried in Vietnam. They are now they have Ukraine. If the Ukraine war is over, they will find some other place where to sell their arms and ammunition. So obviously there could be, so when you think of some events like that, whether it is a Great Depression, whether it is the 2008 crisis, or whether it is the 2001 crisis, any of those things, I mean, I'm convinced that the Americans are now, the next crisis which is going to happen in America is the people not being able to pay the auto EMI. Why they are not able to pay is because last 2-3 years they've been getting that $600 dole, per $600 per month dole. Now that if that is over, and if the student loans charge, they've held the student loan in abeyance for a long time, so if that's charged, then many of these kids won't be able to pay the EMI for the car, because they assume the $600 will keep coming and the student loan need not be repaid. Nobody told them that, look, this is a temporary measure. So when those things start, they will default on the car loan. So this is bound to happen. It's a matter of time. Of course, Fed could come out with saying cars cannot be repossessed or something like that. Look at the laws which they pass. So I'm not getting into that. I'm saying any of these triggers could also hit the banking sector very badly, and that could cause the market to come down. So don't look for events which are going to be epoch making and things like that. Yes, Great Depression may not happen again because the governments will keep dropping interest rates, right? So that is possible, but something else could happen, right? COVID hit the market, so something like that could happen. Any of those things, be ready for it. Fall, when something like this happens, the fall is likely to be 30%. That's not small. 40-50% fall, pretty unlikely unless there is some real super major event, but 30% fall, you need to be ready for it. It's not so rare to find events like COVID or Great Depression. Something like that keeps happening, right? So the question is, what can you do as an investor? Be ready for it. If you are not very sure that you understand equities well, diversify. Diversification, they say, is the only free lunch. So have some gold, have some real estate, have some debt in your portfolio. You have to make the choice. I don't have too much of that. I would be 80-90% in equities, that to direct equities plus equity mutual funds. So my case is different. Check out what you want to do.